Radio. This is Cindy. It is my absolute honor to be your host and outdoor activity, events, and adventure guide for our community. And I want to know about your activities and events and adventures, that especially your group adventures. So please email me at nrocindy@gmail.com. That's nrocindy, like Nooga Radio Outdoors, Cindy, @gmail.com. Just let me know about your competitions, events, festivals, golf tournaments, 5K, 10Ks, fundraisers, whatever it might be. We want to encourage participation and spectators to get outside and to get active. Quick shout out, Cindy's Choice, for a great catering option is Chicken Salad Chick. And what's great about Chicken Salad Chick, it's not health food, but it's really, really healthy, good food. I was just at, they just launched a new menu at the downtown store yesterday. So now they have yummy, spicy pimento cheese. They've got egg salad. Egg salad's great on a BLT. Plus there are 12 varieties of chicken salad. They made I know the Fruity Fran's real popular, and they made it fruitier. So be sure and check out Chicken Salad Chick. That's chickensaladchickchattanooga.com. Chicken Salad Chick Chattanooga.com. 0, 0, 0, 0 carbs, 0, 0 gluten, and 0 sugar in the classic Carol recipe. And again, you're listening to Nooga Radio Outdoors. And what we intend to do here is to promote and encourage fundamental opportunities for change to how people live. Being in your car, being at a desk all day, it's not good. We've talked about health benefits, and we'll hit on that more on the show at times. But for most people, it's not about just finding time, or it's not for lack of desire. It can be very intimidating to start new things and try new things. It's just hard to connect. I have another business, Cindy's Choice, where it's a full-time job helping people and businesses connect. So we want to do that and help you connect with the outdoors. And I have a great guest on today to help you connect. And I'm really excited to be talking to Jeff Turner with Blue Ridge Fly Fishing and the South Outside, because I know absolutely nothing about fly fishing.
That's okay.
So this is what's fun to me, is I get to learn all this new stuff. Most of the stuff I've had on so far, I'm a little bit familiar with, but I'm going to be very interested in learning more about fly fishing. But first, I want to learn just a little more about Jeff. So Jeff, tell me where you're from.
Well, I grew up in Athens, Georgia. And then I made my way up to Maryville to go to college, and played some sports. And somewhere in the course of that, got a couple of injuries and made my way over to Dahlonega, where I started fishing, and really got into it there and started doing guided fishing. Wound up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, where I was a full-time fishing guide.
Awesome. And again, because your Chattanooga location with Blue Ridge Fly Fishing is the second location, right?
Yes, it is. So I was a full-time guide for Blue Ridge Fly Fishing, and then it was going to be sold, and I ended up not wanting it to stay a fly fishing store, and purchased it, and that was almost 5 years ago, and then made the decision to come up here and open a second one recently.
Well, okay. Now I like fishing. Most of my fishing experience has been like, on a small boat, just catfishing or something like that. But I have got to go deep sea fishing a couple times, and I absolutely loved it. I like fighting the fish.
Yeah, of course.
Mastering that fish is just a hoot. But I have no idea what fly fishing entails. And it to me, first impressions, it seems difficult. It seems like there's a lot of technique involved. So, yeah. I mean, how much skill does it take for fly fishing? Yeah, what's funny
is that just because there seems to be this barrier, a lot of the times, especially with like our younger kids, it's actually easier to teach younger kids fly fishing than it is spin fishing, because when your motor skills aren't fully developed yet, there's actually less to fly fishing. And so people think that it's more difficult than it is. It's really not that difficult.
Now, you're saying spin fishing versus fly fishing?
Yeah. So when people call us to go on a fishing trip, they'll say that, they're worried that their child won't be able to figure it out. Well, what we try to explain, that there's a lot more things going on a spinning rod than there is on a fly fishing rod.
Okay.
And for a younger kid, it can actually be a lot easier to learn. There's less motor skills involved, less fine motor skills involved. So in my opinion, if I was teaching two different people to actually be good at it, if I was going to pick one, fly fishing would actually be the easier one if you have someone showing you how to do it.
Okay. I've done spin fishing just enough to get that. It's not that it's really difficult, but it's a process. It does take a lot of practice.
Yeah. And there's more mechanics to it.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I mean, like I said, I like fishing, but I don't do it often enough to have it down that well. I still need help whenever I do get to do it. Okay. Now a big thing for me with activities is how much we invest in our toys. I get the sneaking suspicion that you can invest a whole lot in a fancy rod. And I come from, you don't know me, but I'm used to investing in golf clubs, hang gliders, mountain bikes. So we know you want good tools.
I totally understand that.
What kind of investment is someone looking at to kind of get started, let's say, with fly fishing?
With that analogy, let's say, if you're deciding that you really want to get into bass fishing, you're going to need a bunch of different bass rods to throw a bunch of different types of bass fishing rigs. Well, the great thing about fly fishing is you could get one good rod and do 30 different things with it.
Oh, wow.
Anything from fishing in the pond in your backyard to fishing on the beach. I mean, you have a lot more diversity with your fly fishing rod and reel than you would with your spin fishing stuff. So even if one fly fishing rod costs more than one spin fishing rod, which isn't always the case depending on what you buy, then you can actually end up doing a lot more with that.
Okay. Well, this is how green I am, and I'm never afraid to ask the stupid questions. But the fly, what is fly thing?
Right. So fly fishing, traditionally, people, when you say fly fishing, they think trout. And trout eat aquatic insects.
Okay.
And the fly is just what we make to look like those aquatic insects.
Okay.
That's all it is. Now, here in town, I fish for bass more than I do for trout. And all with the same rod that I'm using for my trout fishing stuff. I'm just using little things that look like fish instead of things that look like bugs. So the term fly fishing, when we say fly fishing, we're really just talking more about the rod and the reel than we are talking about the actual lure that we're using.
Okay. So you can, with a fly fishing rod, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Then you can fish for just about any river fish then?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously there's weights of rods.
Okay.
You know, the smallest number you might take up into the Smoky Mountains to catch little tiny trout. You probably wouldn't want to take that for trophy bass fishing.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
But there is a happy medium. There is a rod that, there is a weight rod that you can use for not only trout fishing in a river, but bass fishing and pond fishing. And then, you get into much larger rods and you go out in the ocean and catch a tarpon.
Right.
Like you can catch the biggest fish that are out there.
Okay. Well, I still haven't struggled differentiating between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Is it mainly about bait? Like what the fly is what's at the end of the line, right? To attract the fish.
Correct.
So, and you're using this aquatic bug to attract the trout.
Right. So when we're making a fly, we take a bear hook and then we use thread and some artificial material, some things like feathers and furs to make something that looks like that aquatic insect, because that's the biggest part of a trout's diet. But if I'm going bass fishing, I might take that same hook and tie something that looks like a little fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all this is familiar. I mean, I've seen enough fishing shows and been around fishing enough, but it's really interesting to me. I'm already getting intrigued, and I'm one of those, I'm like almost afraid to get introduced to new things because I want to try absolutely everything. So I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to want to try this.
The great thing is we have a lot of introductory courses. We are one of the largest guided fly fishing services on the East Coast. There's options that are very, very inexpensive. They start at $100. And at the last Saturday of every month, we have a free introductory course. So before you sink a bunch of money into it, you can always come and see us.
And that's the last Saturday of every month?
The last Saturday of every month, we have an introductory course. And the first Saturday of every month, we have an advanced course. And all of that's free.
Wow, that's really nice. Did you hear that, folks? Because that's what I'm trying to do, is connect the community with things to try. And it's not just that it can be intimidating to try new things. It can be costly.
It can.
If you're going to be investing in equipment and so forth like that, it's really hard to know. I've done it just enough times. I remember when I got into hang gliding, I was told not to get a brand new novice glider because I wouldn't be in it long, but I didn't listen. And I got this beautiful novice glider that I invested somewhat in, and I outgrew it so quickly. So for my intermediate glider, I did get a used glider. So I learned from my mistake. Yeah. But it's the same. It's like now I'm gun shy when I'm going to start something new. Is you want our equipment is everything.
Exactly. It's the exact same thing. A lot of people before maybe coming in and taking the class or doing something, they want to figure it out for themselves, and they come in and buy that super introductory kit because it's less expensive. And then when they actually find that they want to get into it, they're stepping up to what, only, maybe 150% of that cost, not that much higher, but it's something that they'll be able to use for a long time. And so that's a great reason to come take some of these introductory courses, maybe come and take a guided fishing trip. And that way you're like, oh, this is something I definitely want to do. And then, like you said, not buying the absolute introductory thing, getting something just a little bit up from that you can use for 10 years instead of 6 months while you're just figuring it out.
Exactly. So, like, describe to me as I show up to the free Saturday night, and I don't have equipment or anything.
Nope.
How would I dress? Are we going to be on a boat? Is it on a pier? Or how does it work?
So our introductory classes are true 101, because we're going into this expecting people to have absolutely no experience whatsoever. You can they start at 10 a.m. and it starts almost as a classroom setting. I'll have a whiteboard, and we'll have the projector up, and you'll be able to see my hands, the knots that I'm tying, the things that I'm doing projected behind me on the wall. And we start by putting the rod. We start by putting the rod together. So you don't need to know anything, and you can wear whatever you'd like. And then, at the end of the class, we go out and we teach everyone how to cast and just the basics. And we are completely confident in the fact that when you're done with that class, that you could go out and catch a fish on your own.
Yes. And I love that. And I hate to keep using the hang gliding analogy, but you relate to what you relate to. And everyone was like, oh my goodness, I could never run, a kite off a mountain. And like, what you don't realize is I started on flat ground.
Yeah.
I was running that kite, getting airlift from flat ground. And then I took baby steps up a bunny hill before I was, flying off a 100-foot hill, and then graduated to the mountain and had tandem flights as well. And I love that, because you're thinking, well, fishing isn't dangerous. It's not, but at the same time, it's intimidating to learn new things. And I know fishing trips I've been on, the reason I need help is I've never really been schooled. It's just you get handed a rod and you get told, do this, do that, whatever. And you don't have it down. You're just trying to get your pole in the water and catch fish. So I love this, that you can just really learn it and be more comfortable. And it sounds like a great family activity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we get a lot of phone calls, and like you said, a lot of fishing services, you might go out and they'll be like, here, just do this. With us, you're gonna learn. When you're done with your trip, you're gonna know more than you did when you started. And you're gonna, if you actually do a guided fishing trip with us, the guides will teach you anything you would like to know. And you're going to come out of there with more knowledge than before. You didn't just go on a trip. So yeah, absolutely. It can seem intimidating until you come and do it and realize that it's much less difficult than advertised.
That's awesome. I want to come back to that and ask you a little bit more about the guides. But first, I want to remind our listeners, you are listening to Nooga Radio Outdoors on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Nooga Radio. That I'm Cindy, your host, your outdoor activities, events, and adventure guide for our community. And I'm having a discussion with Jeff Turner, who owns the Blue Ridge Fly Fishing and the South Outside. And we are talking, we're talking about fly fishing right now. And I want to talk about the guides that you just mentioned. So you learn how to fish. You go through a class, Fishing 101. And then what's the next stage from there?
Well, you're more than welcome to come to the Fishing 101. You don't have to, though.
Okay.
All of those guides help teach that class. You don't have to come. If you want to go fishing and you don't know a single thing about fly fishing, that is completely fine. We take thousands and thousands of people every year, and half of them have never been before, and that's fine. And they almost all of them come back.
I love hearing that.
And so you don't necessarily have to come to the 101 class first. You can book a trip with one of our very, very good guides and just go fishing, and your 101 class is out there on the water.
Yeah, for people that are local here, and that's a lot. People travel here to do all these great outdoor things, but there's a lot of people that are still local that I'm learning here. I'm very involved outdoors, and there's still so much I don't know about. So people who are behind a desk, from 9 to 5 days a week, or they, have families responsible for it, aren't able to get out much. I want to, introduce them and encourage them to go get involved. So that's Saturday class. I'm loving that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. Because like I said, I'm familiar. It's easy for me to go try new things. I have that kind of personality. Most people, it's not. I know how to go start things and create groups and so forth. But for most people, it's not. And that's a wonderful way. And to fly fishing, because that's a lot. It's easy to go to a website. We can go Google all these activities.
Yeah, and for us, you just go to blueridgeflyfishing.com. There's an events list, and you just sign up for the 101 class. And at the end of it, you get, we email you an informational packet that goes over everything we just talked about.
Right.
So, all you got to do is go to the website, which is blueridgeflyfishing.com, sign up for the class, and show up.
And that's what I love. You can go do that. But this way with the show, I'll have Jeff on often to talk about this great opportunity to learn how to learn fly fishing so that you can get to know him. And it's that much more comfortable to show up at that first class. But so tell me, Jeff, why, what's going on with the sport? Why is it important to grow the sport?
Well, what's going on with the sport is it is growing right now. I think that social media has let a lot of people see that it's not this thing that people have in their head, where it's not a bunch of old guys out wearing tweed, smoking a pipe.
That is the visual that you get.
Right. That's the visual that you get. But now you go online and you look that it's, the demographics are mainly, younger people. And, you can get into it any which way. And for me personally, it's important because I grew up hunting and fishing with my family on public land. And there is an immense amount of public land that you can take advantage of, that you're an owner of. And there's an unbelievable amount of it within a 2 hours driving distance of right here. It would blow your mind. And the more people that I get into this sport and start enjoying that public land, the more people are going to care about protecting it and making sure it stays public. And that's one of my biggest goals, is the more people I get into it, the more people care about protecting what was a big part of my childhood.
Yes. And that's a lot of the community initiative of this show is not to only support that and support the people that are doing it, but to connect you guys and create, a network there of all of us getting more people involved and to take care of the wonderful environment, that the wonderful playground that we have right outside our back door. Jeff, I want to get your info. If you'll share your info, then I wanted to ask you briefly. We'll have you back on to talk about the South Outside. But be sure and what's your website again?
So it's just blueridgeflyfishing.com. You can also get there by going to brff.fish. Our phone number is 423-803-2733. We're on all social media. There's a million ways to get into contact with us.
Okay, so briefly, what, again, I'll have you back to talk about the South Outside, but could you give me some bullet points there? What's the overview?
So the South Outside it's not a completely new project, but it's a newer project that we're working on that's trying to bring all of the information we're talking about, all the public land usage, all the places that you can do stuff. We're trying to bring that all into one place. So we're building a map that people can choose what it is that they're interested in, pick a location, and see what's available there that's public land. And we're going to be having events where you can come and sign up to take one of our events. It may be an overnight camping trip, and you can do a bunch of different classes while you're there. As a all women's event, because we have a lot of really great women that work there are a lot of really great women that work in our company who do all these different activities, and they're going to run it. And so, the South Outside is going to be hopefully a lot of fun and just really bring all the information that people are looking for into one place.
That sounds awesome. So I am sure I will have you on plenty, because it sounds like you're going to have plenty to talk about. And I do want to remind the listener, too, that that's what this platform is for, is to let people know about these activities and events and different tournaments, 5K runs, fishing tournaments, anything that it might be. Please let me know about your upcoming activities. And you can do that by emailing me at nrocindy@gmail.com. That's nrocindy@gmail.com. And again, I want to encourage participation in your events and spectatorship, because that's a lot where it starts. If people can just show up, get outside, move around, and watch things, it'll be that much easier for them to participate. And you are watching the Nooga Radio Outdoor Show. I've been talking to Jeff Turner with Blue Ridge Fly Fishing and the South Outside. And remind the listener again about your Saturday night class, and give us your email one more time.
So the Saturday classes, they're actually in the morning. They start at 10 a.m. It's the last Saturday of every month for the beginner class, and it's the first Saturday of every month for the advanced one. And you can always find us at blueridgeflyfishing.com, and we're also on all social media platforms. So you can get in where we monitor all of our messages, and you can get in touch with us anyway.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. You've been a great guest.
Thank you very much.
Y'all stay tuned after the break. We're going to be talking to Sunshine from Chattanooga Outdoors.